So while I get my first loaves into the oven, I'll kind of update you guys on everything that's been happening. If you have been following along for the absolute crazy journey, especially recently, then you would know that my farm stand has been shut down. I no longer have a farm stand. It was violating a zoning code in my town, and so I had 10 days to get rid of it when they reached out to me. And so that 10 days has passed, we got rid of it in time, and it's gone. Another thing that happened is that someone reported me for selling a rosemary garlic loaf. Now, cottage food laws are different by state. My state doesn't allow any like fresh herbs or fresh vegetables. And so whoever reported me probably assumed I use like fresh garlic, maybe roasted garlic, something like that. I don't even know. And so the state reached out to me and they said someone had complained to them and they need me to tell them the exact ingredients I use in my rosemary garlic loaves. I told them exactly what I use. I use dried rosemary and fully dried garlic. And once I told them that, they told me I was fine and the complaint was resolved. But that was another thing that kind of rocked my waters. It's really interesting that someone would do that. But like I said in my last video, you just have to be careful because someone out there will be out to get you, unfortunately. The past kind of month, I've been just moving with the punches. I don't even know if that's the right saying, but I've been just trying to figure out how my business is going to move forward after these two pretty significant things. Luckily, my business was not at risk or anything like that. It just was honestly just very stressful hearing these things. So within the 10 days that the town gave me to get rid of my farm stand, I started messaging every single small business near me, every single coffee shop, everything I can think of. And I was basically asking for any vendor opportunities or any opportunity I can get with them to set up a table or some type of shelf or something to sell my products. Obviously, I can still do pickup at my house, which is what I have been doing in the meantime while I got my feet on the ground. But without a farm stand, I can't do walk-ups, and walk-ups was very successful for me. The amount of money I made just from people walking up to my farm stand was equal to the amount of money I made in pre-orders. And since I was no longer able to provide this, I was just scrambling for another option. Out of everyone I reached out to, I only heard back from 2. And I ended up visiting one place, talking with them, and I signed a contract with them for 6 months. So I will be selling bread with them, and I let all of my customers know, and it's a huge step for me. And overall, I think it honestly just worked out for the better. I was kind of outgrowing the farm stand, and the reality is that with my farm stand, I can only reach the people directly in my neighborhood. So at least working with small businesses or doing farmers markets, I am able to grow my brand more. So I will be starting with them on February 18th, and I'm very excited. I also just got accepted into a farmer's market for every week throughout the summer, which I am also very excited for. It is just going to set me up for success, I think. And I am going to be super busy, that's for sure, but I'd rather have it that way than any other way. Alright, so I'm glad I'm filming today because I made a huge mistake with my first batch of loaves that I took out of the oven. I'm sure you saw, they're extremely flat. My first mistake was even putting these loaves on my menu. They are whole wheat honey loaves with a bunch of seeds in them. I really should have practiced more with this loaf before putting it on my menu, so that's my first mistake. I knew I was taking I was like, yeah, I could do it. That was wrong. Do with that is I actually added the wrong measurement of water, and so those must have been like up to 90-something% hydration, which is just extremely hard to work with. So what I ended up doing in the last hour, which you didn't see because I was too stressed to film, is I started more dough. I kind of had a feeling that this might have happened last night when I was shaping the dough because it was really off. And so I decided to feed my starter a good amount, that way in case there was issues, I could restart the dough. And that's why I also baked those loaves first, that way I had time to start the dough if it came out bad. So that's exactly what I'm doing. My dough is resting on the counter right now, waiting for my second coil fold. But I'll end up just baking those either late tonight or tomorrow morning before pickup. Probably late tonight, honestly, because I want it to cool off. But on the second note, I actually am off schedule with these English muffins that I'm separating right now. Usually I get these separated within the first bake. Whenever I put my first loaves to bake, I do this. That way I can bake the English muffins earlier, but I'm behind schedule considering what has happened. So I'm doing it now. These will end up baking at 2 o'clock, which is in about 2 hours. It's 12 o'clock right now. So a little behind schedule, but it's okay. We pivot and that's all we can do. Honestly, if this were to happen a month or two ago, I would have been freaking out and honestly having a mini panic attack because that's what I used to do whenever I made a mistake. But that is not going to help me at all. So you just have to pivot and find something else before letting yourself get a little too overwhelmed. So right now I'm just separating my English muffins. I need to make 24 of these. These are actually feeling stickier than usual. I think it's because I left them on the counter instead of putting it in the fridge. Or actually this morning I took them out of the fridge because I thought it needed more time to rise. And so they're not that cold right now, so it's a little harder to shape. But I think they'll turn out just fine. Spoiler alert, these actually came out horrible. I'm not sure what I did wrong. I must have missed an ingredient, but I had to stay up all night remaking these English muffins and then baking them in the morning once their fermentation was done, right before pickup. I don't even know how I made it out of the door on time. You can see here they're just extremely dense. They did not rise. Now here are my cookies. Funny thing about this is, of course, I had to make a little mistake here too. You can see they look super rough. These cookies are delicious. However, I did not mix them enough, so that's why they look rough. Either way, they still taste perfect, so it wasn't a huge deal, but that's another mistake I made. Onto my cinnamon buns. These were perfect. Thank God I couldn't take another mistake, honestly. These are Tangzong cinnamon rolls. I believe that's how you pronounce it, which makes them extremely soft. I bake them with heavy cream and I also foil them for the first 15 minutes and then take them off and bake them again for 30 minutes. Back to my whole wheat seeded loaves that I had to redo. This was around 12 a.m. and that was when the dough had finished fermenting. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I started the dough like really early once I figured out that they were gonna be bad. When I finished with this dough, I knew I had to go back to my roots and do my double pan method that I used to do. This dough is just very different than the normal dough I work with, and obviously I'm not as experienced with it, which is why I should have never put this on my menu. But for that reason, I decided to go back to the double pan method like I said before, just because I knew it was going to help out with the structure. First, it adds more steam, and then also it just gives it that kind of support system with the actual pan. Obviously, this wasn't ideal for my bake day, but it still worked. It's the same exact bread, just in a different shape. I didn't get to catch my second run of English muffins because I was so busy that morning, and I honestly didn't think I would make it out on time, but these are all of the pre-orders. We counted them all up. There was 25 orders here, and that wraps up bake day. Okay, bye!